Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, Conversations Worth Having. I'm your host, Ed Troxel, and today we are going to talk about the Costco method. Yeah, how you can increase your revenue and build your customer relationships. But first, if you are new to the show, we talk about business, tech, and the user experience here. We go live weekly. We may come back daily. We'll see. Be sure to let me know your thoughts below. And also, if you're new to me, let me just mention in the show we talk about random news, which we'll jump into here shortly. And then we'll jump into today's content, which is the Costco method. Do you know what that is? I'm curious. Let me know if you've heard of this before or not. This came to me in a conversation last week, so I wanted to share it with all of you guys here. And if you're new to me, let me just mention that I help entrepreneurs who are feeling bogged down in their business and frankly overwhelmed with their technology. I show them how to use the right tech tools and how to easily implement them so that they can streamline everything and focus on growing their business. You can learn all about that at edtroxelcreative.com after the show. So let's jump into random news. Today, how many of you are Kit Kat lovers or just candy lovers in general? Because Kit Kat is coming out with something new. Let me show you my screen. Look at that. What do you think? I kind of think that it's about time. I'm not a Kit Kat fan. I mean, they're okay. And I'm not a total sweet tooth person, but I will say I feel like they should have had this already. I mean, we know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we know like mint and chocolate go together, and like that's a thing, and it's always been a thing. So why have they taken so long? So anyway, let me know if you're going to be jumping on tasting this treat later. And then also, I wanted to mention JCPenney. How many of you know JCPenney or even shop at JCPenney? Let me know. I'm curious because JCPenney just did something that I think we all would be pretty shocked about. I know I was, and it's really interesting because they're taking a step backwards. So we'll give my screen a second there to load. But JCPenney is taking a step backwards, and they're removing Apple Pay. Now, I don't know if you know what Apple Pay is. Let me know, and I'll let you know what it is. But Apple Pay, they're removing it from their stores. Now, as a business owner, we have to think about this, especially because if you don't have a retail location, how many of you have retail locations? Let me know. But if you're not a retail location, you probably haven't had to deal with this or even think about this. But for a retail location, you have to go through a lot of different hoops and obstacles to implement new technology, new processing systems for payments. And as online business owners, we know that it's already complicated enough when we have to set up our PayPal and our Stripe and being able to do all of this digital stuff. But it's even more complicated when you have a huge store, not to mention multiple stores. And so they implemented Apple Pay, and up until this point, we don't know why, but they removed Apple Pay. That's huge. Can you tell me why, even if you're watching the replay, can you tell me why that's a big deal and why we should be curious about this, why we should even care, why we are talking about this? Because it is a conversation worth having. So why is it that you think that they removed Apple Pay, and is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? You let me know. I will say that removing Apple Pay, now this is just totally my opinion, don't let it distract you from yours, let me know. Welcome Leah, how's it going? Buy in bulk, yeah, buying in bulk could be. And again, we're all guessing about why they removed Apple Pay because they haven't told us yet. And maybe JCPenney will tag me because they've seen some of the work. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when you post, especially on Twitter, things come up quick in terms of responses because they have notifications that they get every time somebody talks about their business. It's really handy to have. But anyway, JCPenney removed the Apple Pay option. And if we think about it, they not only went through all the work to add it, but then they removed it, which now as a customer, got to put on your customer hat, even if you don't shop there, put on your customer hat, they removed the convenience factor. Now that's a big thing because if we think about it, where's everyone going to shop? Where are they going? Where are you going to shop? Online? Amazon? Why? Because it's convenient. It's a click or two or three away. And it works wherever you're at in terms of whatever card you have on file, wherever you're buying from. You can be in any city or whatever. So it's interesting to see that JCPenney, who has been struggling in terms of trying to stay afloat, it's interesting to see that they added a convenience thing to make it easier for customers to shop in their stores. Hey, Tabitha, welcome. They made it easier for you to shop in the stores, but now they're saying, whoa, 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 we're backing up. We're taking it away. And so, again, we don't know for sure. It will be interesting to see what develops in the coming weeks once we finally know. But I wanted to bring it up here in random news for you because it's important for us to remember it's all about our customers and the experience that they have and the convenience factor. If you want them in your store, whether in a physical location or here online, if you want them in your store, you have to make sure that you make it as easy as possible, which we're going to talk about in today's topic about the Costco method and how to increase your sales and build your customer relationships. But you have to make it easy for them, and you have to make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on around you, what's going on in the news, and what's going on with technology specifically. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You tell me how you feel, even if you're watching the replay. And so now, let's jump into today's content. The Costco method. Have you heard of this? Because I totally just made this up on my own last week, but maybe it's a thing. Because here's the thing. We never really know if the good idea that we have or the strategy we come up with, if it was entirely the first time it's being shared, or if it's just new to us and yet it's been out in the world and others have heard about it and it just never made it to us. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But to me, that sometimes happens. You do all the research and you look through all the things and you're like, I can't find anything. And then randomly something comes up and you're like, hey, I didn't even know all of that existed. That's crazy. And I've been talking about XYZ this whole time. So it's just interesting. Anyway, the Costco method. What do you think it is? Now imagine, I should also back up and say, because I have a lot of UK viewers too, who might be watching the replay, I should mention what Costco is. So let's start there. What is Costco? If you know, let me know. If you don't, it is basically a big warehouse with overstock. You can buy in bulk, basically. So instead of just going to your local Target or Walmart or any kind of department store, well, I don't know, department store, but any store, Walgreens, Safeway, all of that, and buying just like a thing of a 12-pack of toilet paper, you can go to Costco and buy like 24 or 64 or whatever. So Costco's a big warehouse that sells in bulk. Now, imagine that we're walking into Costco on a Saturday. It's crazy busy. I know nobody wants to go on a Saturday. It's crazy busy. But we're walking in and we're going through the aisles with our shopping cart, and we see about every 10 or 20 feet a little stand, a little kiosk. And there's usually somebody standing there and they're making something, whether it's a smoothie or they're having little danishes or cookies or protein bars or whatever it is. They have all these little samples for you. So as we're going through the store, we're going to stop at each spot and we're going to sample something. Exactly, Leah, samples. We're going to go through each spot and we're going to sample something. We stop, we pick something up, we try it. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. We like the product, we pick it up, we throw it in the cart, and we keep moving. We get to the next one. We're not really sure about the smoothie, so we try it and we're like, oh, it's a little chalky. I'm good. We keep it moving and we go to the next one. We test out the bacon and we're like, yeah, the bacon's great. Let's go buy some. Awesome. They're right there. 10-pack, boom, you're set for life. And we just keep going. And that's throughout the whole entire warehouse. So we've done all the sampling And at most of the time, we're connecting with those people that are at the stands. They're telling us about the product. They usually have a fun, friendly face, and they're warm. And Kim says, I love Costco buffet on Saturdays. Exactly, Kim. Exactly. It's a buffet, right? It's a buffet, but it's in bite sizes, right? So Costco is the buffet, but then inside they have all these little spots. So by the time you actually get to the checkout, where you throw all the stuff on the from the cart onto the checkout thing, we'll just say thing, it's okay. Then when you're done, you kind of are full. You really don't want to go to the food court anymore because you already ate everything and you bought more than you were supposed to. How many of us have done that? How many of us do that all the time? And so when we think about the Costco method, we have to think about, and let me pull up my notes just to make sure I cover everything here. We have to think about the fact that just like our online business, we can pretend Costco is our online business, and we have to really think about, okay, what's the product that we want people to sample? So you have to pick your product or your product or service, and that's going to be your sample. That's what you want to run with. And then as that sample, what are you giving away? What is it? Is it an ebook? Is it a PDF? Is it a video clip of the lesson 1 in your online course? Like, what is that sample that you're going to give to somebody? That's going to be the free part, right? Just like at Costco, those samples are free to give us just a little taste. And then we buy when we're like, yes, that's what I want. And so you got to have your product or service, whichever one you're going to go with. And then underneath that, you're going to pick the exact sample. So the freebie, which can be an ebook, a PDF, a video clip from the course, whatever. And then from there, you're going to figure out how to, quote, display your product, right? How are you going to display that sample? That's the big one. And can you guess ways that you would display it? Kim says, Costco, yep, style. I've spent $450 instead of the $100 I came in to spend. Ugh, see, it happens. You end up buying more, right? So it's really smart the way Costco does this. So this is why we're talking about this strategy, and let me know if you've implemented this before too, even if you're watching the replay. So you have your product, you have your sample, which is one of those items, and then how are you going to display it? Can you guess what that is? Are you going to display it as a blog post? Is it going to be a Facebook Live? Is it going to be a webinar? Is it going to be an Instagram story? Like, how are you going to display it so that people can see it when they're coming through the store? And the store really is the online portal, right? Whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or wherever. That's the store, and people are coming through and they're bypassing your product or service. And so how are you going to get that in front of them? How are you going to display that? Then, once you figure all of that out and you actually are displaying it, what's the call to action? What do you want people to do? Because they now know what you're offering. They've seen it. They have that in front of them. What do you want them to do? Do you want to, yes, Tabitha says blog posts and Facebook Live. Perfect. Now what do you want them to do? Do you want them to click? Do you want them to download? Do you want them to sign up? Do you want them to join you on your live? Like, whatever that call to action is, make it known. Have it specific. Does that help? I hope that's helpful and that kind of circles back. So when you're thinking about the Costco method, even if you've never been in a Costco, you have the big warehouse. They have samples throughout the entire warehouse. You test out what the product is. If you like it, there it is. You can buy it, pop it in your cart, and you're out. And same thing with what you're doing here online. What is it that you want to offer? What is that item going to be? How are you going to display it? What's the call to action? And then here's the big one. Can you guys guess what the big one is? It's hot in my office, so I'm going to take a sip. But can you guess what the big ending is here? Hey, Letitia, welcome. Can you guess what the ending here is? What is the ending to all of this? We got our product, we got our display, we got our call to action. What is the last piece of the puzzle? Can you guess? Even if you're watching the replay, because I still talk to you guys on the replay. What is that last piece that we all have to do, because here's the thing. Even if we do everything up until this point perfect, we do all of that perfectly. If we don't have this set up, it doesn't matter. No one's going to buy. And it's going to be very hard to sell anything. Checkout. How easy is it for someone to check out from your store? Listen, we have to go into reality for a minute, because a lot of us are just online, right? And tech gets in the way, and it totally feels different than in reality. So pause for a minute, go into Costco. Let's just imagine, go into Costco, go into whatever store you're familiar with, you grab your products, you go to the cashier, and you check out. Nowadays, it's either a person still there or you're actually scanning it yourself. But either way, they have a checkout process, right? What's your checkout process? Because again, you can have everything right with the call to action, but what's that checkout process? And if you don't have that set up properly, they're out. They're gone. You only got a few seconds. So you really have to make sure that that checkout process is key. And here's another important thing, because I'm doing this myself. I've changed up some checkout processes on my site now and have been updating them because I want them easy and straightforward for everyone, right? Because that's my job. I mean, that's what I do for people all the time. So I should also have that on my site. The thing is, when it comes to checkout, you want to make sure that it's easy as possible. And if you already have one set up, that's fine. Go test it. You have to test your own service. You have to see, what's that process like? How much info do they need to put in? Do they need all that info? What's the policy here? Can I return it? Can I not? Think about your real experience in a store. And if it's been a while, go down to the store today and buy a pack of gum or a soda or water. Go with water, soda, yeah, we'll stick healthy. But buy something and think, put that entrepreneur hat on and think as a customer what that experience is like versus us just walking in and buying something, because we're not thinking, we're just doing a normal routine. So I want you to step back for a second, put on that hat and go through that. Yep, checkout. Tabitha says, I set up a t-shirt store and I set up Amazon Pay for that reason. Exactly. Yes. So you guys have to I always say, test, whether it's social media or in this case, your checkout process. But you have to go through, even if you already have it set up, you got to go back through every so often and test it. What tweaks can you change? Because it's not one of those set it and forget it. Just like your website, just like your business plan and everything else, it's a living, breathing document or process in this case, and you need to make sure that you keep up to date. Because if you don't, you're what? You're gonna be left behind. And you don't want that. You've worked too hard and you do way too much that you don't need to be doing that. You want to stay ahead of the curve. So make sure that you are going through this process and fine-tuning as needed. And here's the thing. Don't feel bad if you haven't been doing this or it's been a long time. We all get caught up in our business. We get caught up with our customers. And sometimes we just forget or we just don't know what we don't know, right? Until someone stops and tells you, just like this. So it's okay. It's okay. Let me see the comments here. Leah says, especially click on any links in your emails to be sure they work and go the right page. Boom! Yes, Leah. There it is. There it is. That's a big one. That's a big one. That is huge. You guys, make sure that you're testing your emails. So that's a whole nother ballgame, but I will wrap up with that message there, is test your emails before you send them to your list. It's huge. It's huge because you want to make sure that the links work and that they go to the right place. Because if you're like me and every other business owner, you're juggling a lot of things, you set something up, you get interrupted, but you keep coming back to it, you fix it all up, it looks good, but if you don't test, if you don't stop and test, chances are there's going to be an error. And then you're going to think, I totally missed that. And then there goes your customers. Speaking of customers, let's talk about that for a second, and then we'll wrap up here. So we talked about the Costco method. We talked about how it increases your sales if you go through that process. But what about the customers? What about building that relationship? Well, if you think about it, if you're going through this process, and just like at Costco, the people that are at the stands with the samples, they're having conversations with you. They're telling you about the product. They're chatting. They're smiling. You can ask them how your day is and all of that. Same thing that you can do with your business online. It's a little different, of course, because you may not be able to catch everyone that comes to your website or everyone that comes to your Facebook post or anything like that. But you still can what? Show up, deliver, and engage in the comments. Because the magic happens where? Where does the magic happen? You tell me, where does the magic happen? It happens in the comments. And so it doesn't matter if you get to it today, tomorrow, or next week. All that matters is that you have to do it and that you try to follow up with as many people as possible. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's showing up and delivering and engaging with your people. That's all you got to do. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And I'll catch all of you guys next week, unless you're inside the Hey Ed Network, and then I'll see you guys probably in a few minutes, just because we're in there all day long working. But if you need anything, edtroxelcreative.com is where it's at. And I hope that you all have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks so much, and I'll catch the rest of you on the replay who are watching. All right, take care. Got to press the right button. And of course, see, this is the thing. This is what you got to do. All right, now we're going.